guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, Friday, I decided to work from home. A little bit of another great day in Miami. I don't know what's going on. I know, don't complain, there's no snow, but for Miami, this is pretty bad. But yeah, I decided to work from home today, but that's no excuse not to shoot a video. And today I figured I'd talk about 5 watches that have major flaws. 5 watches I love, but that have major flaws that, to me kind of ruin it. Now, of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I'm wearing the Seiko SKX, just chilling at home with the SKX, and also a bunch of new cool watches in stock. We just got in an FP Journe Chronomètre Sauvron, the cheapest on earth. In fact, the dealer messaged me on Chrono24 upset that I listed it so low, and I know that almost sounds unbelievable. I'm actually going to make a video about that with screenshots, so stay tuned. I also got a limited edition Doxa Shark Hunter Diver, which is pretty cool, and a Zin U1 with a tegmented steel bracelet. Not the whole case, but the bracelet is tegmented, so that is very cool as well. And you can check all these out at delraywatch.com, link in the description below. So yeah, guys, 5 watches that are ruined by a major flaw. Now, these are in no particular order. However, maybe you guys have experience with this. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is pretty obvious because I've made videos about it, and that is pre-ceramic Rolexes. So in my particular case, the Pepsi GMT. Fantastic watch. I love it. I've owned it 3 times. Looks great, great history, retains value. Also home to one of the shittiest bracelets in the watch industry. I mean, this thing stretches over time. It's hollow. The buckle is rickety. It's stamped. It's sharp. It's just no good. And now a lot of people could excuse that. Yeah, but it's a vintage watch. Rolex made these up to 2006. I mean, that's no excuse at all. It's a fantastic watch with an awful bracelet, and you know what? Unfortunately, I think that watch doesn't look great on a strap, because a lot of people said, Federico, just wear it on a strap, and I just don't like the look. A lot of people also said, put on a new bracelet. I don't think I should compromise. When spending 10 G's on a watch, I shouldn't compromise and do things like that, and that's the reason I sold it. This applies to all 5-digit Rolex references. Now, the second one is one that's quite a few people have complained about. And I also love a watch called Longines Heritage 1945. I was going to own one myself. I made videos about it, and it is a remake of a watch from 1945. However, for some reason, they put in an automatic movement instead of a manual. Now, this is a bigger watch, but the movement inside it is small. And you can see that because the subsidiary second subdial at 6 is way too in the center of the movement. Now, there's no way around that. The movement is just much smaller than the dial, and you have to put the second hand where the pinion on the movement is. However, that means you've got all this dial space below the subsidiary second hand, and it just does not look proportionate. I love the strap. I think the price point is great. I love the salmon colored dial. I think Longines made this watch 98% perfect, but that 2% kind of ruins it for me. What can I say? Next is another watch I like quite a bit, and a few watchmakers I've talked to don't particularly. That is the Zenith El Primero Striking 10. Now, I remember I was working retail when this watch came out, so it's a Zenith El Primero Chronomaster, but with a 1/10 of a second complication. So the chronograph runs a lot quicker to measure 1/10 of a second. Now, the problem is, for a lot of people that use the chronograph very often, having such a high beat rate really does shorten the service intervals. Now, I love this watch. I think it's a very cool complication and also pretty useful. However, if you're one who uses the complication a lot, expect to service it instead of every 5 to 6 years. I don't know. I mean, I can't give you an exact time frame, but let's say every 2 to 3 with constant chronograph use. Now, on top of that, chronographs are not exactly cheap to service. And this watch got a bad rap for very, very short service intervals, particularly because obviously the rate is so much higher. I can't speak to this personally, but two master watchmakers I've talked to have both confirmed this, and actually it makes quite a bit of sense. Now there are ways to mitigate this, silicone parts, special oils, but at the time this came out, I don't believe those things were perfected yet. So unfortunately this does suffer from short service intervals. Now the next one is also service related, and it's one of my favorite watches of all time. The previous generation IWC 7-day Portuguese, be it just the 7-day, are also the perpetual calendars. Once again, the previous generation. These are beautiful watches, 7-day power reserves, some have the perpetual calendar on them with a wide open case back, with a beautiful movement that fills that open case back. Okay, not the most decorated movement, but it still looks great. Now, I've noticed through years of selling these and working with these and just playing with them, that the previous generation, now this has been fixed, but only recently, the previous generation, there's what we call micro pollution on the movement. You know, a lot of times when an automatic rotor spins around, or when the movement kind of just works over years, little metal shavings and gunk builds up in the movement. This is perfectly normal, by the way. This isn't just with IWC. But this movement happens to do it quite a bit, especially from the automatic winding system. So I'd look at the back of these watches and you'd see gunked up oil and metal shavings all over the place, which would ruin this beautiful, wide open kind of see-through movement. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm not OCD, but it really did ruin it for me. Now, the new generation of Portuguese, I think came out 2-3 years ago, replaced a couple of parts with ceramic parts that don't cause shavings, supposedly. Now, I'm pretty sure that issue is fixed. However, it's too soon to tell. I haven't really seen too many of the new generation yet, and micro pollution does take some time to build up. So yeah, it very well could be fixed, but just keep that in mind when you guys are going to buy one of the last generation of 7-day power reserve Portuguese. Now the last one, I've said it a million times, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Patek Philippe Nautilus and their bracelet. Nautilus, one of the most iconic watches of all time. It can be argued if it's worth its market rate. I personally don't think so, particularly for this movement. But I'm not gonna lie, it's a beautiful watch, one with a great movement, it's well made. But how does a watch at this price point have a pin bracelet? My SKX is a pin bracelet. Longines stopped using pins in their bracelet. Omega stopped using pins in their bracelet. But a watch with a $32,000 retail and maybe a $60,000 market price still uses pins in its damn bracelet? Patek Philippe, what's going on, guys? I mean, truly, that is the biggest joke in hot horology, in my opinion. Anyway, guys, those are the 5 flaws that ruin 5 great watches for me. Please let me know what you think in the comments section below. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really does help. And please don't forget to subscribe. Guys, thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.